Greetings. This is December 2nd, and we are continuing our journey of the Via Advent. Our story here that is taking us to the coming of the Christ child in this Advent season. And I just lost my place, but there we are. And today is the chapter called Barren, where we hear the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth. And I think what I am struck by is how well the author really gets to the loss and sorrow in this simple story that we're so used to hearing, but don't have any sense of the humanity behind it. And it's a possibility is given to us here. I mean, if we're honest, it's even true today that not having children has a somewhat social stigma to it, even if it's less than it was before. Because certainly in Zechariah and Elizabeth's day, there were issues if you didn't have kids. Who was going to take care of you? How are you going to function? Because it wasn't like you hired people. It was the family carried on the work, and even more so. Certainly back then, it was a sign that you'd lost God's favor. So here you have a priest in God's church, and I do love the line that says, "Coming back from a tough week at the temple," which I'd never thought about that. The priestly class whose responsibility is to go to the temple and be responsible for the sacrifices, what would a tough week look like? And the pain that over the years is described as their hope and their prayer for a child goes without. And yet we are told that they hold on not just to God, but to each other, that they pray together. I'm also struck too that they're walking away from, at least in this story, a sermon that was painful to them. And unfortunately, I'm sure that happens many times that unintentionally something can be said by a priest or a pastor that is received painfully by people because life is hard. And there are times I can certainly think in my life where I thought I was doing it all right and it all went wrong. And I felt like my prayers were unanswered. Now looking back, I can see that God was with me in those midst, but it doesn't still take away the pain and the loss when we are in them. So I love this interpretation that God's promise for them is present with them even in this silence, and they are faithful even in their pain. It's an invitation for us as well in our pain and our confusion. Let's pray. I have felt the pangs of bareness when my prayers remain unanswered. When I ask the desperate questions, they seem to fall on deaf ears. Where have I sinned? Why is God silent to my prayers? Then doubt and disappointment become my companions. But I must remember that I do not have to understand because your love is sufficient. In that love I rest. May the Father shield me. May the Son keep me. May the Spirit fill me. Blessed Trinity, help me understand your advent. Blessings. See you tomorrow.